We talked about security today, and the students gave really good information in terms of why we need security. Now we're talking about security mostly on data and a lot of it moving through a network and so forth, but we have so much more information that's being stored online, and the huge amount of communications that we have between here cause us to always have a heightened level of concern with security. We reviewed some key things with security. The data's got to be made available. Integrity, we got to make sure the data is accurate, and then we have to decide who can see what data. The state that the data is in, we have to be concerned when it's stored, when we're moving it, and while it's being processed in the computer. How do we do that? We have products and devices that allow us to protect the data, if you want to think of it that way. Virus software, firewalls and so forth. We have actual devices and how we enter and get data out, and firewalls, actual physical boxes, firewalls to protect and so forth. Another way that another area we need to work with are the people in terms of understanding what they can and can't do. A lot of exploits that we'll talk about in a minute occur from people either maliciously doing something wrong or accidentally doing something wrong. We create policies that we need to follow. For example, you might have a password policy with a certain number of characters and so forth. And then a lot of places will have guidelines, maybe not specific policies, but what people should be doing, or at least a guideline to follow. Like change your password often, or you change a password every month or so. How people know how to do these things, we have procedures. Procedures put the policy or the actual process of the policy in place. Procedures help people know what they can and can't do, and help people maybe install the right virus software on their computer. We had a short discussion on authentication, passwords, and I discussed the things on how do we authenticate people. It's either something they have, something they know, or something they are. It could be in order to get some money from a ATM machine, you got to have the card, you have to know the PIN. Okay, in some cases you can use your thumbprint, your face imprint, a camera looking at your face, or a number of things. So what you are, what you know, or what you have with you. Security terminology, we ran through this. We talked about an asset, something that has value. In this class we're talking about data. Is there a threat to the asset? Is there something that could happen to it? Is there a threat to our data? Is there somebody that can carry out the threat? And then this is a measurement. How vulnerable are we? Little chances of it happening, big chances of it happening. When we look at that all then will determine our risk. How much risk is there that there is, let's say the data could be compromised, or the data could be changed, compromised, somebody else sees it, data changed, the integrity is lost of the data. So we have some data. Is there a threat that can happen? Is there somebody who can carry it out? And how vulnerable are we? All that wraps up into our risk. And so then you take a look at the risk, and you either accept it, do something to avoid it, or move the responsibility to somebody else. Sometimes it's a little combination of all three. An example of moving the responsibility to somebody else is buying insurance. We buy insurance on things, so if there's a risk they get damaged, destroyed, or whatever, we move that responsibility on somebody else. Okay, last word here. If the data is compromised, we talk about the term exploit. Somebody did something to the data. Either they found it and read it, or they changed it and adjusted it But anyway, something happened to the data. And that's it for today. We started some database work after we talked about the security issues. That's it.